So guys, in today's video, we're going to be going over a complete professional player's day of practicing. Recently, I've been really into watching all of the videos of a professional player's day in the life, and this is generally what I've seen from all of the pros. This is generally the practice routine that most of them will end up using. This is a day-to-day practice routine that should not take too long, and I think it's really valuable for you guys to actually compete and play a lot of this practice routine to the fullest extent. So this is going to be consisting of 4 different sections of your day, and exactly what you should do in those sections, what maps you should use, how you should play, and what you should end up accomplishing within your day of practice. Now be sure to use code SonataYT in the Fortnite item shop if you guys do want to support me. Let's hop right into this video. So obviously guys, when you hop on Fortnite for the first time of the day, you guys are definitely going to want to start with a very consistent and very repetitive warm-up. Now, a lot of professional players will end up actually getting on and playing and warming up for a really long time. However, considering that a lot of these players are already successful and don't actually attend any school or work, they have a lot of time to do so, and I want to just generally dumb it down to a smaller, more consistent warm-up routine that you can accomplish in around 30 minutes. Now, this usually consists of 3 types of warm-ups. The first one is going to be an aim warm-up, and ideally this is going to be either a Kovacs or an in-game aim trainer. Then the second part is going to be a mechanical warm-up. Most of the time pros will be free building. And then the third type of warm-up that they're going to do is a fighting warm-up. Now this can either be PGing their friends, playing box fights, or 1v1 realistics. Now within all of these different aspects of warming up for competitive play, I'm going to be going over 3 maps in creative that you guys can 100% use in order to accomplish this in around 30 minutes. Now the first one is going to be the aim map. This is going to be Teadoh's Chapter 4 Aim Island. I did go over this in my top 3 creatives map video before. However, this map is extremely good. I personally believe that it outranks Skavix by quite a bit now, which is another in-game aim trainer. And considering that not everybody can actually afford Kovacs, I think that Teadoh's is the best free alternative for you guys to actually use in-game. It's going to be having tons of scenarios, tons of tracking, flicking, target switching drills. Everything you would really want within an aim trainer is going to be in Teadoh's Chapter 4 Aim Island, so be sure to check out the code for this map and all of them in the description. Now for mechanics, the map that I'm going to recommend for you guys to actually start free building is going to be the Cudas 1v1 map with 0 delay. Now this map is oftentimes a map that you'll see a lot of pro players doing PGs on. However, this map is extremely good, not only because it does have the 0 delay obviously, but considering that a lot of us are on NA Central, it's really good if we're able to compete in creative with the least amount of delay and the least amount of ping. Not only will it help us warm up our mechanics, however, it will also prepare us for the in-game delay that we're going to have, which obviously will be introduced as we continue up with this warm-up routine and keep preparing for competitive play later in this practice routine. And then guys, the final map that I recommend to you guys for the fighting aspect of warming up, this is going to be Finest Realistic 1v1s. I would recommend you try to do around 1, maybe 2 if you have time, 1v1 realistics. And that's a 10-round realistic situation. Now this map is extremely good because it gives you realistic loot, realistic materials in a realistic position, and it gives you the ability to actually fight somebody like you would in the actual game. Now this is kind of integrating your competitive play from this system of creative into the actual game. It's a really good transition from playing in creative with the low latency to playing with higher latency, and I think that Finest Realistic 1v1s is by far some of the best practice you could do for fighting in creative for warming up. Like I mentioned before, the warm-up routine should take you at most 30 minutes, considering 10 minutes for each of the different practice routines. You're going to obviously be taking 10 minutes of aim, 10 minutes of mechanics, and 10 minutes of fighting, so that should be a really consistent warm-up for you guys that you try to do every single day when you warm up for practice. Now the next part of a pro player's practice routine that they always are going to be using is going to be playing at least a little bit of arena every single day. Now pros play arena to warm up their mechanic and in-game fighting. The reason for this is because they need to get used to the ping, they need to get used to actually competing on the map, they need to get familiar with moving around the map and competing and fighting like they normally do. Most pro players are very good at this nowadays, however, since you guys are most likely not the best of the best, arena is definitely something you should consistently do every single day. Now, I personally would recommend that you play at least 3 full arena games before you get into the larger stages of practice. Within these arena games, it's important that you actually try your best and you don't kind of shove it off to the side and kind of goof around. I'd recommend you focus on W keying, fighting, rotating, moving. All of the active movement aspects of the game you definitely should focus on within arena, because you can focus on the game sense aspect of the game later on. As you guys play arena and in these 3 games, assuming that they're full arena games, these 3 games, if you guys obviously die off spawn, try to add another one in. But also you need to make sure that if you do die off spawn, you don't let it tilt you and you don't start getting negative within your competitiveness. That's a really bad aspect that a lot of pro players will let plague them, and it's going to lead to a lot of their downfalls. This should take you around 1 hour, considering that you play 3 full arena games. Obviously that may vary depending on whether you get eliminated or not. I'd recommend you try to land at stacked POI so that you're actually good at fighting off spawn. Try not to land at your competitive drop spot just yet. And that's what we're doing in the next section of practice that I'm getting into. And this next section of practice is gonna be scrims. So a lot of people think of scrims as pretty much the bread and butter of practicing for competitive games. A lot of pro players will get into serious practice with competitive scrims. I recommend that you guys try to play at least 5 games, as a lot of pros do, per night, in which you guys are trying to play full effort. You're landing, you're rotating, you're making sure that you're playing your game plan, and you overall are trying your best like you would be in a tournament for these scrim games. Whether this is open scrims, private scrims, or even elite scrims, there is no point in wasting scrim games whatsoever. What I'd recommend you guys do is before you start the scrim session, you should review a game plan or a tactic that you and your duo want to practice within the session, and then I'd recommend you just generally try to do it. Adjust from it, learn it, understand how to play it correctly within your scrim games so that you can try to master it by the end of the night. And if you're doing the same game plan or tactic over multiple nights, that's even better because then you're gonna master it even more as you keep practicing. After every single scrim game that you play, I'd recommend you write down how many eliminations and what place you got in the match in order to match it up with the FNCS format. Now this will do 2 of things that are really valuable for your competitive play. This will help you learn the format for FNCS and understand how to play to it, and it will also help you learn how many points you would have gotten if you were playing in an actual tournament. If you can take 5 games and then you can double that to simulate the 10-game situation, you can see if you would have qualified or not and what you need to tinker with and change in order to make sure that you do qualify. If you're competing in all 5 of these scrim games and you're actually competing in them, playing in them, surviving in them, this should take you around 2 to 3 hours in total if you guys are competing at the best of your ability. However, that may vary obviously depending on how long the games last, if you get eliminated, what the situation is, whatever it is, they should not take you too long. And now, obviously guys, the last aspect of your competitive practice that I would completely recommend for every single player out there, this is going to be to sit down with your duo partner and go ahead and VOD review. You need to end the night with a serious VOD review session. A lot of pro players will definitely VOD review almost every single day. They oftentimes will use softwares like Epic Pen on raw footage that they may record, or a lot of them, which is what I would recommend to you guys, may just use replay mode with their duo partner. They're going to be screen sharing on Discord, and then replay mode is going to be popping up in which they will try to VOD review and review their game and any tactics and stuff they could have changed. Now, like I said, replay mode is obviously better simply because it's in the game, it's easier to navigate around, and it's actually easier to see your own gameplay. What I would recommend you guys do within this VOD review session is focus really on your own team's gameplay and then use the drone feature to rotate around and find out any better positions and rotations you guys could have made. You guys need to look for players you could have eliminated better, you guys need to look for different places you could have gone to restock on loot, better positions you could have been in. Basically, every part of the game sense aspect of the game, that is what you need to be noting down within this VOD review session. Once you're done reviewing all these changes and recognizing what you could have done better, you need to make a note of them and then implement those changes within the future practice sections. Then you should try to recap everything you did in the practice section that day. That goes to focusing primarily on your individual gameplay. So note, maybe if you need to improve some of your mechanics, write that down. Maybe if you need to improve some of your different rotation aspects, VOD reviewing, fighting, please note that down as well. That's a really important aspect of you actually improving on your practice routine every single day. And then you pretty much should be done for that. In total, VOD reviewing should be taking you around 45 to 60 minutes if you do it correctly. And once you're done noting everything down from the whole day that you guys need to change, you can call it a day. And that's pretty much your whole practice routine for the day completely done. In total, guys, if you follow this practice routine to a T, this is probably going to take you around 5 hours a day total. And I know that seems like a crazy amount of time played. However, if you guys do want to be professional Fortnite players, especially in the modern day, 5 hours is the minimum of what you guys are going to have to put in. All these pro players are playing for 10 plus hours a day. So if you want to be anything like them, you definitely need to be improving at that rate by practicing just as much. This is a very realistic practice routine that I crafted in this video for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making this video considering that it made me recap my competitive career and what I did every single day in order to try to improve to the best of my ability. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.